Yeah, when people talk about Ana Mari, it's usually the same superlative. She's really smart, right? Passionate, collaborative.
Bold, enthusiastic,
kind. She's thoughtful.
When you're with Ana Mari, you get her full attention. You get her connected with you.
And she listens to people's input. But with that said, she's very decisive.
She has a vision. She has a direction. There's some stuff she wants to do. And she's going to figure out how to get it done and bring other people in to do that.
She's so engaging. She makes everyone want to work with her.
And you can see her engaging in this kind of dance with the institution, moving along with this university as if she's been in this very fine and nuanced and attentive dance with the community that she's come to love and that has come to love her.
I came to this country as an immigrant. I was 3 years old, and I immigrated to Miami. My dad would always say, education is the only thing that nobody can ever take away from you. My father had started off his career as a rural school teacher, and then he rose to the ranks and was Minister of Education in Cuba, which is part of why we had to leave so quickly. I grew up with education being right at the center. I remember being a kid and I would line up all my stuffed animals and I would teach at them. It was very clear to me that the way that I could make my life and my job come together was by being an educator. The Pacific Northwest was, as my mother would say, as far away from me as you possibly can. I mean, if you look at it on a map, it might as well be Alaska. I actually interviewed on one of those, beautiful, crisp, gorgeous, sunny winter days, and it was just such a beautiful campus. One of the things that I really loved about being here was the ambition, or there was just a sense of if you came here, you were going to have an impact.
In fact, she called herself the reluctant administrator because she didn't come here thinking she was going to be an administrator. She came here to be a professor and a researcher, and probably got her arm twisted a couple of times to go, lead a program or become a department chair, and then a dean, and then provost. And I think she found out that she kind of liked that, and frankly, she was quite good at it.
I really enjoyed being provost, where, you are more involved in the academic day-to-day thing, and I hadn't really thought about being president. It hadn't been something that, quite frankly, I had aspired to and that I thought I wanted to do, but there was no choice but to step in. I mean, the university needed me to do that.
The higher you go in an organization, the more difficult the decisions. And so she clearly had made lots of decisions that not everybody agreed with, yet everybody liked her. And she had this reputation, just a consistent reputation across the university, whether that was faculty or students or the community or whoever you talked to, that were just sky high on Ana Mari. And so we paid a lot of attention to that because that really matters when you're talking about, the next 10 years for the university.
In 2015,
when the nation was really concerned about police brutality.
This was after Tamir Rice and Eric Garner. These were really difficult times around race in America.
And Ana Mari was interim president.
She pulled a group of us together in a room and said that she wanted to give a speech on race and equity. We didn't think it was a good idea because of how tumultuous this was. I looked at Ana Mari and I looked at the desk and realized that she had the speech written. She wasn't really asking, should she give a speech? And I turned and I thought, now it's a question of, how do we help you move this work forward? Because she's going to do this. She had already had a draft written. So there was no saying no to this. She was going to give a public talk as an interim president, knowing that in a matter of months, she would be judged as to whether or not she'd be worthy to lead this university.
There were students who didn't feel comfortable here, who didn't feel like this was a good place for them. And so I very much, I gave a talk to the university community that very much, focused on the way we needed to break down stereotypes, the importance of access. It's not just about theories and ideas, but it's how do they make an impact in the world? And at that point, I think now there are a number of people speaking that way, but that was very unusual then. And I tried it out because if I was going to be president, it was important that our community could get behind this kind of vision and this kind of view of the university.
I love to walk with Ana Mari. If it's on campus, walking can take a long time because she stops every few feet to talk to someone. She's so engaged with the students and she wants to have conversations and know what they're doing and how they're feeling.
She'll give her personal email to students and say, come and write to me and let's go for a walk. And I think, you can't do this. Well, yes, she can. She'd even hide the fact that she was doing it to get involved in a tactile kind of way in supporting and advocating for students. So all the major initiatives that have happened in the last 2 decades, Ana Mari has either been out in front of, or she's been behind pushing, or she's been side by side with some of our leaders in the university. She sat side by side with Bill Gates Sr. to launch the Husky Promise. So for her, it's big visionary policy kinds of stuff, admission policy. And then there's that intricate level of engagement with students and making sure that when students get here, that they have a sense of belonging, that they come here and are part of a community.
Ana Mari has a great ability to be a convener and get people, different stakeholders together to work on an issue. And they might initially come at it from a little different perspective. And when she shares the vision of what it is we could do together, it gets people motivated.
It's easy to work with her because of her tremendous experience, and she applies her knowledge and passion to her work, which makes you want to collaborate with her.
COVID was really hard. I think the University of Washington was a real leader in a number of ways. We were the first to go online, and Washington State did very, very well compared to others in terms of the percentage of people that actually got ill and that died. And I think it was because we acted early. I also think that we did some of the best modeling work to help us really track the disease so that then we could intervene in ways that were important. The way that we dealt with it was the best way of making our university safe was to make the whole community safe.
Ana Mari has a great understanding of the role of medicine in the UW universe and how important it is and how impactful it is. So she has, worked hard from a governance standpoint with medicine, the world-class research that goes on, and the opportunity to move the research to the bedside faster. The relationship with Fred Hutch is a good example of that. We're on the forefront of converting research into real-time, healthcare. From a medical school standpoint, I think we've had huge success with this WWAMI program, admitting students who come from smaller parts of the region to help rural medicine in the future. The Fred Hutch Adult Oncology Care at UW is a big opportunity. This idea of curing cancer, fundamentally, that's a huge thing. And I think that's a vision that we can all rally around, and we can figure out ways to support and move forward on an accelerated basis.
Be Boundless was gratifying. The goals were huge, and raising $6.3 billion was no small task, but certainly a great tribute to the university, to her leadership, to all the staff and volunteers. And that's, I think, because of her leadership to a great extent. People want to do more for her because she is so giving, so authentic, so generous of herself and her time.
She has so effectively connected with our community and really used those connections to ensure that the university serves the community and the state as a whole. What she's done to ensure that the university is serving the needs of the community and on behalf of, say, the tech sector, really build these connections to help support the tech sector with the graduates that we need, with the programs that are driving innovation, and the kinds of partnerships and innovation that the university and Microsoft together have had the opportunity to advance. It's been fantastic.
This is the state's flagship university. And Ana Mari's always said this is not only the University of Washington, it's the university for Washington. To pay attention to that and to do the right thing for the citizens of Washington.
One of the hallmarks of my time here has been making better links to the community and to the state of Washington, and watching that be part of the vision. Watching, Bothell and Tacoma, they are different but excellent in their own way. It is just really wonderful seeing their growth. They've had Truman Scholars, they've had Fulbright Scholars. A student can aspire to the very best and go to Bothell or Tacoma.
I think another example of where Ana Mari has centered students in her decision-making is the move to the Big Ten Conference. It's a really hard moment to make that decision to leave the Pac-12 and to go to Big Ten, but it was really about the students and ensuring that we had a strong athletic department where our students can continue to compete, but it was also about academics. She saw that. She knew that this transition wasn't just about sports, but it was about how we were situating ourselves as a university nationally. One thing that Ana Mari has always highlighted in our conversations about athletics is the importance of athletics creating this opportunity for our students. And she really sees our students not just as athletes, but as student athletes. Ana Mari's impact on me has professionally, personally, has been so much. She led by example, being 100% who she is in her character, in the ways that she interacts with people, but also in terms of her values and centering her values. And so that has been an amazing example for me to live my life by, that it's okay to be who I am.
I think people will remember that Ana Mari was very much of a transformational president for the University of Washington. Some of the big themes here are access and excellence. I think she's actually rebranded that access to excellence. So this is about students. This is about changing lives. So it all goes back to this theme of people and impact. And what we're fundamentally doing here is making the world a better place.
President Cauce loves this university so much, and it's so obvious in everything she says and does. She doesn't even have to use her hands to let you know how much she loves the place and wants to do whatever she can and has done so much to establish a place that can move forward in the world.
She leads with a sense of emotion and a sense of clarity around her values. And those values always connect to the good of the institution. She's been unequivocal and unwavering in that regard. And I've come to really expect that from anybody who's leading, that you start and you lead with your values. You lead with a sense of devotion and love of a place. And that's something that you can't fake. You can't pretend to love a place. And I've seen her in very, very difficult moments lead with her values in an unwavering and unshakable kind of way.
It's really only been in the last few weeks that I'm beginning to see that there is an end. It's very, very bittersweet and very weird, and, I don't know how to explain it. This university has really risen in the estimation of our peers and the world in the last 10 years. That hasn't been my work. It's been the work that this community has done together. But I take a great deal of pleasure in being able to have been part of facilitating that work and helping people come together. This isn't a job. This isn't a job. This is a place that I love with all my heart, and I hope to continue to be involved. If people think I've done a good job, it's reflected glory. It really isn't about what I've done. It's about what I facilitated and how I've been able to create some space for other people to shine, because that's where the work is done. It's not in my office.